Daniel, I mean, sorry. Well, we're going to be talking about Daniel, but Mark chapter 13, verse 14, reading from the King James Bible. Let me get this mic just a little bit closer. But when ye shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet standing where it ought not, let him that readeth understand. Then let them that be in Judea flee to the mountains. So do you understand? Well, you might not if you read one of the newer versions, one of the newer Bibles. So I just read from the King James Bible, and came out in 1611. If you didn't know, and a lot of the other new versions came out um, after the 1900s. Most of them, so like over 300 years later, and I think when they started doing, some of this, making new versions, it didn't really take off, and people didn't really like it. But now, to get promoted, and by sometimes celebrity Christians or something, and people pick them up or put a lot of money. I've even heard stories where they'll buy a bunch of Bibles, and I might make a video later, but and they buy a bunch of newer Bibles. Oh, look, it's number 5 on the sales chart. Well, because they bought them. That's a trick people that they do. Buy your own book, and then, oh, look, it's if you buy like hundreds of thousands, it's number 5 on the Bible chart. Look at everybody's buying it, but they didn't tell you that they bought it themselves and just gave it away for free or something like that, or for really cheap. So anyway, so if you remember this, what we're covering now in Mark 13:14, it says spoken of by Daniel the prophet. So if you're reading this in the New Testament, okay, you'd be like, oh, okay, I'm going to turn to Daniel and see what it's talking about here, right? Because it says it's spoken by Daniel. So I'm going to read this verse, and it's talking about the abomination of desolation. And now I can turn to Daniel and see more about it. But if you read these newer versions, they actually take that out. They take out spoken by the prophet of Daniel. So you see, once again, if you can read the text, you see it here. But then if you look at the new versions, they took that out. And why that's important, once again, is because you'd be reading it in the New Testament, and it says, oh, this is in the Old Testament. And then you could go to the Old Testament. Okay, where is it? Daniel. I'll read more about it. A future prophecy, too, right? Because Daniel was written before Mark. So Old Testament. So it's a future prophecy. And otherwise, someone might not, you'd be reading this and you're wondering, okay, it's got to be, it looks like it'd be something in the future. But then a person might not realize probably that it's from Daniel if you didn't read Daniel, or you forgot, or didn't realize it. And then this helps. Oh yeah, I can go to Daniel. But the New Testament, the new Bible versions don't have that. They're missing spoken of by Daniel the prophet. So watch out. Some of these newer versions remove stuff, and in this case, they removed. What did they remove? Spoken of by Daniel the prophet.